basically, the Sustainable Cities Initiative is our way of implementing that MOU. Thanks all. We have over a dozen GBCs that are active participants in this, and basically this is the way that we are encouraging GBCs to link with their cities and actively enhancing the relationship and sharing best practices. One of the ways that we've been doing it is working on the visioning projects, which again, Jane mentioned in Brazil, Australia, and Singapore. And another is a project that we've been working on nearly for most of this year, called the City Market Briefs. And I'm going to pass it over to Saeed in a moment to actually introduce the content and one example of these. But I'd like to thank all the GBCs who contributed to this content. A lot of you were very actively involved in developing basically content of each C40 cities and other cities policy for green buildings, as well as statistics and facts on the green building industry in these cities. And so I'm very excited to be able to preview today 6 market briefs for the cities of New York, Abu Dhabi, London, Melbourne, Hong Kong, and Santiago. Again, this is only a preview. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to launch until next year, until all of these over 60 C40 cities have been properly vetted by each GBC and the cities. But basically, this is a resource for the cities to be celebrated for their great work on green building policy. They can brag to their other C40 cities that, you know, how cool they are, actually. They have, you know, policy examples from affordable housing, benchmarking, data transparency, codes, municipal buildings, private buildings, sustainable communities, et cetera. Another opportunity is to share best practices between the cities. Santiago can learn from Hong Kong, for example, and since C40 represents such a diverse regional network of cities, we'll have, I guess, more richer opportunities for collaboration and best practices. Another one is this to inform developers of opportunities in their respective cities, of incentives that they might be able to take part, as well as, you know, where they might want to build. And then finally, we're hoping in the future to use these as resources for the investment community, perhaps to inform sustainable community investment. Once again, thank you to everyone who participated, and if I'm so persuasive, I hope that maybe the rest of the GBCs will chip in and help develop this really exciting and valuable resource for the cities in their country. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Saeed to give us the example of Abu Dhabi.
Okay, thank you very much, Maggie, for that. So yeah, I was just asked to just give a very brief presentation of what has been done in Abu Dhabi and why we got involved in this program. Firstly, it was because Maggie convinced us that it's something that we should do, and we figured that putting together 2 pages of information would be less dangerous than swimming with sharks, so we went ahead and did it. But yeah, that aside, it is something, it's a very good sort of 2-page snapshot of what's going on in the market, what's going on in terms of sustainability, regulations, etc. And to put it together, we had to collaborate with government quite a lot and get information from them and things like that. And when they see the finished product, which ultimately sort of raises them on a pedestal of all their good work, celebrates the things they do. Anyone that works with governments or works in governments knows that governments like nothing better than being praised for the job they do. So that sort of invariably develops our relationship with some of these stakeholders a lot more as well. It's very useful sort of in terms of the way it's presented. It's a very brief snapshot. There's lots of more detailed long reports that go with this information, but the very brief snapshot for developers, visitors to the country is very useful, and we're sort of using the Dubai example of this. We actually put together two cities in the UAE as part of the sort of some of you may know Dubai's bidding to be the host city for the Expo in 2022, and that material sort of can be used in that sense as well. So just to give you sort of a very brief about some of the information that's captured. Who here has been to visited Abu Dhabi before? Very few hands. So So just for the benefit of those who haven't, just to give you a bit of a background about the city, Abu Dhabi is the capital city of the UAE. UAE has a population of about 9 million people or so, and probably about 2 or 3 million of those are in Abu Dhabi city itself. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the UAE. There's 7 Emirates in the UAE, which were all joined together in 1971 to form the country. Traditionally, the Abu Dhabi and the whole Emirate and the region was just pearl diving and fishing communities, very little economic development going on. Discovery of oil in 1962 then sort of brought with it all the economic growth that a lot of you have seen on the news, all in real estate development, construction, etc. But with that growth, it's sort of come at a high cost. It's sort of well publicized that the region, Abu Dhabi, UAE, Dubai, has the sort of highest ecological carbon footprint in the region. And with that, there's a lot of economic challenges that come with it in terms of the government pays a huge billions of dollars a year in subsidies for energy and water, which is something Mohammed talked about before. Water security is a major issue. If our power plants go down, then we run out of water within about a week. Energy scarcity, security itself as well. The UAE, most people don't know it, is actually a net importer of natural gas. Despite all the oil that's produced, we don't produce enough natural gas in the country. So there's a whole range of issues, and with that, sort of in the last couple of years, the UAE government sort of created a vision for the green economy to sort of tackle these things. But more specifically in Abu Dhabi, they've been very active with work in the green building area. A lot of this has been sort of spearheaded by the Abu Dhabi Urban Planning Council, who sort of created this framework called Estidama, which translates to sustainability in Arabic, which basically is a green building framework to address communities, neighborhood scale buildings and villas through their sort of design, construction and operation. Effectively like a rating system, addresses this similar sort of issues, but with the region-specific focusing on energy and water issues more than other areas. Projects are awarded ratings 1 to 5 according to how well they perform, but the sort of unique thing that was done and the bold step taken in the Emirate was that a minimum level of Estidama compliance was required for every single new project starting from 2010. Government projects have to go a level higher. And that decision in 2010 did create sort of a very drastic market shift overnight, where all projects all of a sudden had to consider reasonably high levels of sustainability straight away. So that's some of the information that's sort of captured in this 2-page brief. It also covers some of the projects. Some of you may have heard of Masdar City. Anyone heard of Masdar City? Yeah, it's got a lot of press around the world, the sort of zero carbon, zero waste city. Some of those objectives have changed a little bit once you sort of actually try and implement it and find that feasibility might not quite be there with current levels of technology, but that's not to say that it's failed. You have to try these things before you realize what's feasible with current technology. So yes, the sort of the highlights of some of those projects and things like that is also captured in this. So that's a very, very brief summary of what's included there. If anyone has any other questions, you feel free to ask me at any point. But yeah, it's something that was very pain-free to put together and something that we find very useful. So I urge all of you to also get involved in this. So thank you very much.